How are you? It's a Dr. Muso. Today we want to talk about the boom, 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 the boom in America. We see that when the war ended in 1918, there was a boom in America. So we see that this boom led America to experience economical expansion, industrial growth. The economy flourished, it thrived in America after the World War One. But however, things changed in 1928, 1929. There was the Depression. Why did America experience a Great Depression in 1928, 1929? So our question is identify five problems that were faced by America during the Great Depression. What were the problems that America faced during this particular period of time of the Great Depression? Number one, we see that the Great Depression, it led to the closure of so many banks. So many banks now, they were closed down. Why? It was because economically America was going through a very difficult time. So because of that now, so many banks now, they had to close down, and that on its own led to increased unemployment. So this brings us to another cause, which is unemployment. So many companies, so many people now, we see that they were now jobless. Why? It is because of closure of banks, closure of what? Of companies. So many industries, so many factories, they closed down during this particular period of time. Strikes became the order of the day. People were striking. Why? It was because America started to experience a serious economical challenge. So that on its own affected the people politically. It explains why uprisings, strikes, rebellions became common. Lockouts were also common during this particular period of time. And we also see that the farmers, we see that they failed to pay mortgages. They borrowed monies from the banks, but now they were not in a position of paying those mortgages that they borrowed from the banks. So that on its own, it was a serious problem that affected so many people in the country. Lastly, now we talk about low productivity. There was low productivity. Why? It was because of economical disturbances that were occurring in the country. So these are the five economical problems, five political problems that we can talk about that took place during this period of the Great Depression. So now let's go on and talk about the features of the Roaring Twenties in America. What took place during the Roaring Twenties? Why are we saying rolling? People were rolling, they were enjoying themselves. Life was so good. Life was so pleasing. Why? It is because America was experiencing a boom. Things were moving in America. So it was rolling, enjoying themselves, people dancing, eating what they wanted, a chick in every pot, a car in every garage. Things were moving well. What were the features of this particular period of time? Number one, let's talk about new machines. New machines were invented, new machinery started to exist, new machinery started to operate during the Roaring Twenties. We also see that there was improved communication. Improved communication. Now people were now having easy methods of communicating amongst themselves. They were now dial phones. Cling, 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 cling. Hello, how are you? Ding, 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 ding. They were dial phones were introduced. Automatic phones, switchboards were also introduced during this particular period of time. We also see that the motor industry also increased. Before, a slogan was saying, a car in every garage. So many people were in a position now of possessing or having cars. So we see that the motor car industry increased during this particular period of time. People were having money. So that explains why they were in a position of purchasing or buying cars. We also see that the surface roads increased, road network improved. Roads were tarred. The road network, we see that it was enhanced. So by so doing, why? It is because cars were being manufactured. More cars now being used. So it means that they were also supposed to improve the road network. We also see that there were now telephones at home. At home now, you were now in a position of having a telephone and you could easily now communicate with the people. We also see that there was mass productivity of cars. Women also now were in a position also of driving cars. They were now in a position of driving cars. Beep, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. driving cars, and it was now a turning point. It was a new era indeed in America. Women were now driving. We also see that there was also introduction of the jive dance with jazz. People were dancing jazz. Yes, why? You know this music jazz. You are supposed to be enjoying money. You don't have to sweat, but now you'll be just enjoying people enjoying the jazz music. So we see that the jive dances were introduced during this particular period of time. Women, miniskirts now were now worn by women. Women were now putting on miniskirts. They were now visiting bars. They were now visiting pubs, enjoying their favorite drinks. So it was a new era indeed in the history of France. Millions of people during this particular period of time, the Roaring Twenties, they were now employed. They were now working as somewhere. Cinemas were also what introduced. More cinemas were built. Those that were there were improved, and we see that these cinemas experienced big attendances. People were now going to cinemas to watch films, enjoying themselves, relaxing during weekends. So we see that the cinema industry, it improved during this particular period of time. Emancipation of women. Women were now emancipated. They now were given rights. They were now equal to men. So there was great emancipation of women during this particular period of time. The Roaring Twenties, enjoying themselves. Thank you so much. It's a Dr. Muso.